Hey everyone, how you doing? It's Lorraine Rise. I hope you're doing wonderful. Another Monday, another week. So I have a new podcast episode out today, which is by the same title as this video, Strategies for the 50 Plus Job Seeker. And this is big because I primarily coach mid and late career job seekers. So I have to visit this topic, of course, periodically. And it's one of the areas of career coaching that I get the most questions on. How can I be competitive? How can I still be relevant? Especially when competing against maybe millennials for jobs. So what I'm going to do today is give you just a little teaser to what is in the podcast. To get the full benefit of it, of all this information, though, I strongly recommend you listen to the full podcast episode. It's on Inflow Radio, but you can also listen to it on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, all the major outlets. My podcast show is called Career UpRising. So just search for Career UpRising or my name on any of the major podcast outlets and you'll find it. So today's episode is out. It's Strategies for the 50 Plus Job Seeker. So let me give you just a little bit of strategies right now, okay, just to help you get going. And I hope you listen to the whole episode to get the full benefit from it. So I work, like I said, primarily with mid and late career job seekers, and I've worked with hundreds of them. And I've helped so many of them to find meaningful employment in their fields, not just any employment, but the jobs they actually want. Okay, so you can do it. And first and foremost, that belief that you can do it is paramount. That is the most important thing. If you let the age bias become your crutch and become your identity and your story, just like any other kind of a bias, you know, the gender bias or the unemployment bias, that we could all gripe about something, right? You can't let that become your story. You're going to have to push through it, even though it exists. So don't get caught up in that. Don't start expecting it everywhere you go. You got to keep that in check. Okay, so that's the first thing. But then what I also want you to do in terms of your job search strategy is target certain employers. There are certain employers out there that are known for hiring with better diversity practices, and diversity does include your age as well. That's a factor. In fact, if you go to AARP's website, sorry guys, I got to bring AARP into it. We're talking about 50 plus, right? So go to AARP's website. You will find a list of organizations there who have signed the employer pledge and are generally known by other criteria as well for hiring more older workers. Okay, so certain company cultures are going to be better for you as an older worker. This is absolutely true. So make sure you're taking company culture into account when you target certain employers rather than just applying to whatever online on the job boards. You can do some of that, but in the end, you're going to be better off by figuring out, okay, what employers are known for hiring older workers and being more inclusive and more diverse. Let me see if I can make that a part of my strategy. All right. So that's something that I coach job seekers on how to do, but leverage your network. That would be the next one. One of the benefits of being older is that you've been around the block and you know more people, right? Your network is bound to be bigger, it should be, than young folks who are 25 or even 30, right? And likely those are going to be deep connections, people you've known for a long time. Use them in your job search. This is a massive, massive advantage, okay? But only if you use it. So make sure that networking is a part of your job search strategy, because at the end of the day, guys, people get people jobs. All right. I feel like I've said it 100 times and I will say it 100 times more. In most cases, especially for the best jobs, people get people jobs. Okay, so I want you to be networking. I want you to be intentional and targeting employers who hire older workers. And then I'll give you one little tip or two here for the resume, because I get a lot of questions about how to convey your work history when you've got 30 some years of work history on there. In general, yes, you do want to limit older work history, especially if it is not relevant to whatever the position is that you're applying for. You don't need more than a 2-page resume, very rarely, unless you're writing a full-on like medical or academic CV. You don't need a long resume. 2 pages or less I haven't found a client yet that I've had to go on really to the third page for, okay? So yes, you should have a 2-page resume, and I do want you to limit the older work history. I would say go back 10 to 15 years, maybe, or 12 to 15, something like that. Unless there's some unbelievably relevant, outstanding older accomplishment, you probably don't need to have it on there. And if you're in a technical field, it's highly unlikely it's still going to be relevant. So use caution with that. But what you can do is if you want to call out an older experience without dating it, there's a little trick that you can do. What you can do is make a mention of that job, just small, kind of at the bottom of your resume as like a note. Sometimes I'll do, early career history or career note, something like that at the bottom. And I'll list that job and maybe 1 or 2 sentences about it. And I don't list the years. Now I list the years on the other employment, the regular section, but that little, additional work history or early career history section at the bottom, I just make a note and I leave the years off. So it's still on there, but it's not dated. So maybe that'll help you as well. But anyway, I'm going to keep this brief. I'd love to have you listen to the full podcast episode. I go through more than this. I go through multiple resume strategies, job search strategies, and interview dialogue. I give you specific dialogue for what to say in interviews to convey your energy, your enthusiasm, and be more competitive as an older job seeker. So make sure you check that out. You can always go to my website, worksmartcounseling.com. It's long, I'm sorry. worksmartcounseling.com. You can learn more about the podcast and just about me in general. But anyway, that's it for today, guys. I love you, and I'll be back soon with another video, all right? Take care.